over. We had to find another place. Swiss time was running out. It seemed that we would lose the race. Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. Smoke on the water.
On the water. Oh, hi. Welcome. Buonasera amici miei italiani e buonasera a tutti i fans. Benvenuti al mio programma Rudy Backstage. Questo sarà una dinamite show, un spettacolo esplosivo. Vi voglio bene und ich sage guten Abend and hello darlings. Guten Abend hier für die Freunde in Österreich, Deutschland und der Schweiz. Die italienische Sprache baut mich immer so auf. Wieder mal hier aus meinem Büro in Miami. Thank you very much for listening. Also, all my English-speaking friends and followers and fans. This is another episode of Rudy Backstage. I think it's number 26. And I, of course, have to say, bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs et fans français. Bienvenue à mon émission Rudy Backstage. Restez avec moi. Ça va être de la dynamite. Je t'aime. Oh, je t'aime. And I say buenas noches a todos mis amigos españoles y a todos los fans. Bienvenido a mi programa Rudy Backstage. Esto será una dinamite show, un espectáculo explosivo. And you know what comes now. I say, this now really starts. We have Wendy now, not Paul. And if Wendy is ready, it's now time for Backstage.
You wanna know what goes on backstage? Oh, come on. Let me take you by the hand. Ow!
Rudy, are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen.
The way I see it, Barry, this should be a very dynamite show.
You know, I have no idea what the name of this program is, but you're watching it.
Backstage.
All you ever want.
Backstage.
All you ever need.
Backstage.
Your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there. You'll never wanna leave. You wanna sell your ass for that backstage pass. Backstage is just for the invited. Backstage, they've laid on everything.
Backstage. Darlings, what's in Backstage today? We have quite a lot of programming today. We have 2 times untold stories. Now, as I announced many weeks ago, Roger Taylor exclusive. Remember, I did it when we had Queen, the Untold Stories. I said there's going to come more. So Roger Taylor exclusive, as announced many months ago. And this is a surprise. Viva Italia. It is Gianna Nannini. She won against the Stones and Whitney Houston. So, there's a lot of Italian fans and friends watching. But Whitney Houston and Stones are also coming next week or the week after. Don't worry. Yeah, this was always planned like that. Then, of course, we have Art Rudy Art, again with the beautiful music of Pilgari. We have no trivia this week, but a new trivia question if the time is not running out. And of course, and I know you're waiting for this, but it's at the end of the show, we're having more exclusive reading from my book, My Friend Freddy, which brings me, my friend Freddy, to the Freddy statue in Montreux. Now, a lot of the Queen fans and a lot of people who are watching this show now, either on Instagram, on Facebook, or on YouTube, a lot of you have been to Montreux, to one of the wonderful, nice Queen conventions. And I was actually meant to be there. And the statue there is built by a beautiful artist, Irena Sedlečka. I had the privilege to be on Czech television this week because with 91 years old, she went to heaven to see Freddie Mercury personally. Since a lot of you people cannot watch Czech television, and since all my statements are in English, it just has Czech subtitles, I want to, pay a little tribute to Irena. I had the privilege to know her, to film her in the studio when she was working on Freddie's statue. And therefore, if Wendy is ready, and he's doing this for the first time, and he's doing a great job, we have now Czech television Irena Sedlečka. I had the privilege of meeting her when she was designing the statue of Freddie Mercury. I was filming her for my documentary, Freddie Mercury, The Untold Story, and I was visiting her in her studio. I was very impressed. She was a very, very fascinating artist. It was a very early stage. There was nothing more than this first model, and she was so kind, and also the Queen management, to give me one of the first models, and I still have that at home. This statue became so famous. It's on every Queen or Freddie Mercury product, which is, or the proceeds go to the Mercury Phoenix Trust, so it's not an advertisement for anything commercial. But that Freddie Mercury statue became so iconic, and she did such a great work. I also had to do with her because she did also, which a lot of people don't know, the modeling of the head of Laurence Olivier for Dave Clark's musical Time, for which Freddie sang the title song, Time, and I had the privilege to direct the video for Freddie Mercury for his solo project. And we used that head because we were using the stage of the musical, of Dave Clark's musical. So, in many ways, for a lot of Queen fans, although she might not be known that well, she made very, very important work. She is a hero for me, and she did something iconic. That's also why I dedicated a whole chapter in my book, My Friend Freddie, to the making of the statue and also to Irena, because without her art and her artistic work, this statue wouldn't look like it does. Well, now she met Freddie Mercury. They probably are discussing, and she now knows if he likes her statue. So let's put it that way. That is the Freddie Mercury way of thinking. It was on Czech television. Bohumil is the London correspondent, made this little item, and of course what you saw, her working in the studio, I had the privilege to film that many years ago, as I said. Now, the thing is that I have very strong roots with the Czech Republic. People might not know that, but my family, my grandmother always told me that our family comes, Dolezal is a Czech name, comes from the city of Brno, which is in German called Brünn. It's not Prague, but it's Brno. And Peter Freestone and Milan Satnik were actually telling me where it is, and I'm going to visit there soon, with my boys, by the way, because we're going to find out if it's really true what Grandma always said, and we're sort of going to be on the roots of our family. And that's going to be very, very interesting. And I will also do something in Brno. I'm going to be in Brno as soon as we can travel corona-wise. I will be there, probably accompanied by my Czech friends, because I have plans in the Czech Republic, but they are part of, unfortunately, a secret project. And since I'm not the only one in the project, I cannot say anything more. But the Czech fans, and also the book is going to be in Czech language. It's one of the 11 languages. So you will remember the world premiere, Queen, The Untold Stories Part 1. I not only promised at the time that there will be a Part 2, which will be, coming in the future. I also said that there will be Untold Stories, that this is going to become a series. This was in June 7th, by the way. On Brian and on Roger. We did the one on Brian and many weeks ago. And now it's time today for Roger, as well as also for the other artists, but we come to that later. And I can now say, yeah, by the way, you heard that Queen is going to release an album with Adam Lambert. That's, of course, sort of not latest news, because you probably saw it already online everywhere. And of course, we had John Deacon's birthday. And, John is the quiet Queen member, or he always was the quiet Queen member. If you look at my making of, for example, the making of One Vision in the studio. But when John was always listening, when, there were discussions between the other three, and then he said maybe one sentence. But that sentence of John Deacon always was like exactly in the black when you have, when you're doing something with a bow and arrow. So I really like John a lot. He's very reclusive, and I'm soon gonna also do a John Deacon thing, but that's gonna be more in the future. Now we have, as announced months ago, Roger Taylor exclusive. I have to add something. You see Rudy in the pirate look, for a special reason. So Roger Taylor exclusive, Untold Stories. Welcome to Roger Taylor exclusive. Don't worry, I'm not gonna tell any pirate stories, but for some reason with the first story, it has a little bit something to do. It's Untold Stories, of course, and Roger Taylor, you all know who he is. He is, of course, the founding member of Queen, drummer, songwriter, singer, etc., multi-instrumentalist. And I'm going to tell you a few stories, and I start with one where the sunglasses have sort of a reason. It was, I don't know when, but it must have been 80s or 90s. Roger sort of called me. We were very good. Roger and I, we were sort of, for quite some years, we were the R&R, Roger and Rudy, terrible twins, especially party animals from Rio de Janeiro to Los Angeles. And this one was in Ibiza. Roger called me and said that he has to, it was either for his solo album or for a Queen album, I don't remember, that an EMI convention of all the people who are going to sell the records, worldwide, is in Ibiza. And there is a big meeting in Freddie's and Queen's favorite hotel, which was called Pikes. The Spanish people always said Piques, because that's how you write it, but it was Pikes. It was a British guy who was together with a famous singer. The name will come. he said, well, he has to go there and he's so bored, would I like to come along? Because I was doing videos, of course, for that release, be it now his solo or be it Queen, as no, I don't know, as I told, I don't remember. So we've been there, and of course Ibiza is a great place, and and so on, and this was sex and drugs and rock and roll. And so we arrived the day before, and there's a great swimming pool, and of course, we were drinking not only orange juice, and we were, there were substances. So long story short, we were partying the whole night. And the next morning, I think it was 9 or 10, something like, I don't know, 40 EMI was the record company, record executives from all over the world came to see Roger Taylor. I was just a sideshow, but Roger Taylor. And we haven't slept at all, and the idea was to motivate the people to sell the fucking record. So we had to wear sunglasses like this because you didn't want us to look into our eyes. They were red and everything. So we went in there, and Roger said, Rudy, say something. I don't know what to do. And so I was, we were both sort of blah-blahing our way, because I was talking a little bit about the video, but he was talking about the album and so on. They didn't really recognize that we haven't slept. And the interesting, so that was kind of funny, and it was very typical. Roger and I, we like to party, in a lot of different places. And the interesting thing is that a few years later, in that hotel, Pikes or Piques, as the people from Ibiza said, Freddie was doing a birthday party. And I am not sure if I filmed there. I think I was not allowed. Freddie was flying in, and I was in a complete airplane from London Heathrow to Ibiza, and paid for the hotel and everything of a full airplane full of people. And that party was also very wild. And what I know is there was, like always, Freddie, there was also Jerry Stickles, the tour manager. He had a party in Vienna, but that's a different story. It's in my book, My Friend Freddie. And that story, I think, by the way, is not in the book. At least I haven't written a chapter for it. And but there was also the guy of the trucking company. I now don't have the name present. It was something with S, the big trucks that were over there. And he was then, because he was so drunk, he was stripping completely. He was not gay. He was there with his wife. And he was stripping completely, naked, and jumped in the pool. And then he was pushing people into the pool with the full clothes on. I was one of them because, of course, I was an easy catch because, Rudy can't be. So this place, Pikes or Piques, there's also a photograph where Freddie is having a tennis racket and play. Grace Jones was, by the way, the girlfriend of Pikes. Grace Jones. She was there also all the time. The singer that had quite cool hits in the 70s and 80s. And there's a few photographs, but I think that birthday party went unfilmed. But now you know the story. Some of the videos I had the privilege to direct for Roger or his band Cross, non-Queen videos, were very, very interesting and artistically outstanding. A video which is one of my favorite videos for the Queen family was for his solo record. His album was called Happiness and the song was called Happiness. And I remember we filmed it in Vienna, Austria. And that was the beginning of the possibility that you could digitally move and compose things. So we did a lot of the filming against green and blue boxes. And then a lot of the things, for example, the sky that looked like the album cover, and a lot of the actions I was composing afterwards. There were single little things like a girl and actions and what have you. Of course, also singing, which he did very, very good, by the way. And it was like composing a painting. You know, all the painters will understand that. And Roger and I came up with all those ideas, and it was very, very interesting. And because it was digital, it was the change to the digital age. You could make things smaller, and you could go. The copies was not a problem, because in the early days, if you were putting something on top and made a copy, the copy was not as good in the quality as the original. But with digital, it doesn't matter. The 10th copy is the same quality as the first copy or the original. So that's a great video. We were filming. It was one of the famous RUDI shoots. I think it was close to 24 hours. And of course, there was not only coffee helping us staying awake, but it was somewhere outside in Vienna in a very, very big studio of a very, very good friend of mine. And it was a great video, and I'm very, very happy that I did it. It won several awards, but unfortunately, the solo records, like all the solo records of Queen members, were never as successful as the Queen records, although the song is very, very good. One project with Roger was very, very interesting in a different way. I remember when Roger and Jim Beach first called me, I couldn't believe it, because he said, we're going to make a world record. I said, what? Yeah, you have to come to England. And as you know, Roger has this place in England, and next to it, or more or less next to it, there is his studio. And next to the studio is a barn, you know, where there used to be animals in there one day. I don't know, you know, it's a barn, you know. And he put in a little stage, and the whole idea was to get into the Guinness Book of Records for the world record of the most hits during a live concert, live in the internet. And that was at the beginning of internet. A company from Los Angeles was in there. They were doing all the technicalities. I was called in to produce and direct it. And it had something, it was even a long form. I mean, I think it was even called The Concert from the Barn or something like that. And he played there with his band. And there were a few very interesting, peculiar things. First of all, he played a very, very interesting version of We Will Rock You. In case you've never seen that, go. I mean, it was a VHS, and unfortunately, it was never released on, like so many other things, that I would have liked to be released on DVD and Blu-ray or made available, because I'm pretty sure it was already digitally recorded, so it could be easily recorded. It was songs from Electric Fire, but also other solo songs, and of course Queen songs. There was a Radio Gaga version, which was great, and the We Will Rock You version. And the interesting thing was two things. Technically, it was very challenging, because at that time, don't forget, it was the beginning of the internet. So I had to only do dissolves, because there was some technical thing that when you do a hard cut, it could be that something happens to the picture. This was, as I said, the early stages of internet. So on rock songs to make dissolves is not that easy. That was tempting and challenging. And on the other hand, I remember Roger. There's a TV report, by the way, on Doro TV. There is a TV report from British television, a pretty rare one, which is worth looking at. And Roger was basically saying, well, you know, in the old days, to make a world tour, I had to go around the world. Now I just walk from my house via my studio into my barn, and I'm playing from Los Angeles to Japan and from England to Europe. And that was the world record. And we made it, or Roger made it. Roger went into the Guinness Book of Records. And as far as I remember, already there, he got this big certificate from the Guinness Book of Records. There is always somebody there who is checking for the Guinness Book of Records if everything is correct, yeah, like lawyers and all that shit. So Roger is, I think, the only Queen member who is in the Guinness Book of Records. I directed the video for Roger's band, The Cross. Spike Edney was in that band as well. And it was 1990. And we did it in Vienna. And it had a very interesting concept because at the time Lord Byron was giving the motto of that album, and we filmed it in a historic place where they were showing the Lipizans, the white horses, to the emperor at the time. So it used to be very large, it is very large, and it's empty, and there used to be some sand on it for the animals, for the horses, and there is one balcony where the emperor was sitting, and then they were bringing in. They made sort of a special performance of him to show him the new Lipizans, because they had to be all white, and it was a special breed and what have you. And that was available for renting it out. And I'm sure you remember that I was responsible and directed the Rock Me Amadeus video, which of course was playing at Mozart's time. And if you want, the video Power to Love is like the part 2 of the Amadeus video, but it's not Mozart at the time, but it's similar crazy. It's Lord Byron. So I created a really, really big a table where crazy people were, drinking but they were sort of dressed similar to like the Rococo time in Austria. They also had the same thing in England. And partly the people who are playing in there, the actors, are the same as in Rock Me Amadeus, if you want to look. Some of them play in both videos. And it was very, very wild. It was far more sexual than the Rock Me Amadeus video. And there was my then, at the time, girlfriend. I mean, we never married, but we were together for 17 years. Her name is Eva Tauchen. She's a beautiful, great painter, still today. And everybody had fun. So we made a super crazy party in the British style, because this Lord Byron was meant to be a very crazy guy. And the band performed brilliantly. And I think it's one of the most underrated videos that I did for the Queen family. And again, unfortunately, the record didn't sell that much as if it would have been. It's not a Queen song, it's a rock song, Power to Love, 1990. But I think it's sort of the continuation. So if you have time, watch the Rock Me Amadeus video and right after the Power to Love, and you will see the similarities. And that was some of the stories for my friend Roger Taylor. There will not be a book, my friend Roger, because most of the stories that Roger and I experienced, like the one I told on the at the beginning of this little exclusive part, they are not meant for public, and I'm sure that Roger agrees that they should not be told. But there might be more stories of videos of Roger's solo projects or of Queen videos of songs that Roger wrote. So I hope you liked it, and soon again. That was the long-promised Roger Taylor exclusive. I hope you liked it. You know that I love art, and that art, Rudy art, also became some sort of a standard. We have a new episode. This time it's not an artist feature like DJ Moore last week. There is new artist features in the making of all my favorite artists, but also some new artists. But this one is a new episode, so to say, of my virtual gallery. And because we don't, I wanted to always give a platform to those people. I'm telling you a few that in general are participating from all over the world. It's Floria Rosanna Beseghini, it's Sharon Desolate, it's DJ Moore, it's Petra Probst, it's Barbara Boffa, it's Crystal Pieri, it's Christian Stelner, it's Natalia Sidorova from Moscow, Russia, it's Sent Ipek from Istanbul, Turkey. It's Donna Coccovizzo from Italy. It's Agostina Pileri from Italy. It's Maria Lepingsen from Mexico. And it's Mukta Sakpal from Mumbai, India. Just to name a few. And now we have a new episode of Art, Rudy Art.
Mama, take this back off of me. I can't use it anymore. It's getting dark, too dark for me to see. I feel like I'm knocking on heaven's door. 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 Mama put my gun in the ground. I can't shoot them anymore. That long black clouds coming down. I feel like I'm knocking on heaven's door. 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 Knocking on heaven's door.
knocking on heaven's door. This is the album, Jazz It. I'm not even sure if it's still available. It's not on Amazon. It's a very small European label. But Bilgari is a name to remember. As you might remember, I told you a story once that the song Rock Me Amadeus, no, the song Kommissar, sorry, my mistake. The song The Kommissar, which was before Rock Me Amadeus, was originally written for him. And he said, no, Falco is the better artist. And he had the grace of knowing that this will become a hit, because also the Kommissar was in already quite a big hit. Well, so, darlings, we had a voting for untold stories of other artists. Now, this is something that I also announced many months ago. As much as the Queen fans are still the hardcore sort of fan base also of Rudy and of Rudy Backstage, I want to be broadener. This is why I brought in Whitney Houston. This is why we had Falco last week. And this will go on, although there will always be something for Queen fans, simply because, it's the band that I worked the most intensively with, or one of the bands. Very interesting. You could choose between Gianna Nannini from Italy, the Rolling Stones, which are a British band, but I mean they're international, and the great Whitney Houston. And it's really, really interesting. The winner is Gianna Nannini. And now, as I said that, I'm going to do a series, which is also true. It's going to be on Doro TV soon, of untold stories of all the different bands I worked with. It's going to be 100 episodes in the end. But because I have so many Italian friends and followers and fans, now I have to say, ciao cari amici della bella Italia. Chi Rudy, ciao, ti amo. Mwah. Provo a parlare in italiano per voi. Provo a parlare in italiano per voi. Per voi, Okay. Un momento. Primiera. Un momento. Provo a parlare in italiano per voi. Cari amici. Are you ready, Wendy? Yes? Okay, he's ready. Provo a parlare in italiano per voi. Gianna Nannini. Darlings, welcome to Gianna Nannini Untold Stories. Now, Gianna Nannini and myself, together with my ex-partner, Rosacher, we did a lot of videos together and live concerts and projects. So I could talk long, but I picked a few which, especially for my Italian friends, Viva Italia, should be very interesting. And definitely in Italy, they have not been told before. So stay tuned. This is Gianna Nannini, The Untold Stories. Bello Impossibile, a wonderful video filmed in a gas refinery, a little bit outside of Vienna. And it was a little bit inspired by a cool cult film called Brazil, if you know that, or look it up. and Gianna was playing a truck driver, and she was going around and so on. And also a James Dean lookalike played a role in that video. But the interesting thing was the following. At that time, I was a heavy smoker. I was smoking one cigarette after the other. And as far as I know, Gianna never smoked, but I was a heavy smoker. So when we started there, all those people, because it's a gas refinery, what does that mean? There were big, tons and thousands of liters of oil and benzene, because they were making benzene out of oil, so it was oil burn explosive. So there was absolutely no smoking. And my whole team and myself, we had a lecture. The people came in the beginning. It was very difficult to persuade them that we can film a music video with an Italian singer there, but we finally made it. So they said, you have to understand, it is absolutely impossible that you smoke a cigarette. If if that lightens up, the whole Vienna explodes. I mean, it's a firework that would be like Rome by Nero or something like that. So please, please, please don't do anything like that. And they had 3 people who were standing with us, and I was so addicted to cigarettes that a few times I was thinking, yeah, let's do this, and I had already a cigarette in my eye, yeah? And then just said, no, please, Mr. Dolezal, please. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I forgot. So that happened 3 times, but I never lit a cigarette. So we shoot a scene where Gianna is going with the truck, and a big silver something in the back. And in there was a smoke machine. In film, you use a smoke machine, which is basically based on water most of the time, so that smoke comes out. And we were at very top, because this refinery has great big buildings where you could look down, and we were filming it down. And I remember the cameraman said, oh great, the smoke is great, that looks fabulous, that looks great. And I looked to the smoke, and I said, yes, but I mean, this is much more smoke than a smoke machine can do. And then I saw there came fire out of it. Can you imagine? So what happened was that the smoke machine was overheated and was catching fire. And we who were not allowed to smoke a cigarette were suddenly, and we were up there 100 meters. So I said, go on, film it. So the take is actually in the video. And then through walkie-talkie, blah, blah, blah. So we finished it. I mean, they wanted to throw us out. But I said, please, this, blah, blah, blah. So finally, we survived it. But imagine if that would have happened, no Gianna Nannini, no RUDI DOLEZAL, and probably no half of Vienna. Bello e impossibile. Another great story I remember with Gianna Nannini and filming her videos was Hey Bionda. And I remember at the time, my Italian fans will know that better, there were discussions whether in Italy, yes or no, women or females should also go to the army with arms, with guns, not only for, helping in hospitals and so on, but really learn to shoot. And Gianna Nannini had a very strong opinion on that and said, okay, we're going to film a video, but we have to film it in a country where women are actually, she doesn't want to have actors, but she wants to have female soldiers who are playing in that video. And of course, a country where that happens is Israel. So she wanted to film in the Gaza Strip, which, as you know, between Palestinians and Israel is a pretty dangerous kind of place. But I mean, Gianna, if you know Gianna, if she has an idea, you know, we go to Gaza, we film it there, Rudy, Hannes, you know, make it possible. I don't care. So we did it, and we went there, and we were actually finding a little sort of place where, you know, where they also did training things, and it was in the middle of the desert. Very, very, very good looking female soldiers, really beautiful. Gianna liked that a lot. She picked with us, of course, the female soldiers. So we are there in the middle of the desert, you know, and there were things where, you know, sometimes the camera and myself, we had to walk all the way up. It was sand. So of course, with my luck, it was, and you can look it up, I swear to God, this is true. It was the hottest day in the history of the state Israel. That very day, we have to film in the desert. It was a coincidence. It wasn't planned to be the hot day, but it turned out to be the hottest day. So now you have to imagine, half of the crew was Israelis. They're used to the heat. The other half of the crew were Italians, like Gianna always had her hairstylist. They are used to warm weather. And Rudy from Austria. At the time, not so warm. We're talking many years ago. So, I mean, we had tents and everything, but it was unbelievably hot. So, of course, you have to drink a lot of water, you know, to stay hydrated. But it was like, I thought I'd die. And then I almost had a heat collapse, honestly, you know, it was yeah. So, but then the biggest problem was not the heat. In the middle of the shooting, and there was nothing, there was just this little barn or something where, you know, where the soldiers were in, and then they were making their shooting exercises and so on. And then I had to go to the toilet. I had to go to the toilet, but not, as we say in German, small, not pee-pee, but so what I'm gonna do? There was no toilet. So I had to walk until nobody sees me. So I stay in the middle of the toilet, take my pants down, go down, and yes, I was shitting in the desert on the hottest day of the state Israel. And you know what? I think it's quite a good video. Hey, Beyonda. So my final story on Gianna Nannini for today is actually not about a project. It's more a love letter. You know, I was privileged to do quite a lot of projects, videos for Gianna. Very instrumental was always her great manager Peter Zumsteg. He was actually Swiss, from Switzerland. Who was very, very instrumental in a lot of the projects and the realization. I, for example, remember there was a long form DVD where also the videos were on, that one was or two was directed by Antonioni, and another one by Bertolucci. So it was a project where, you know, Rudi Dolezal was with those famous Italian directors on one product. I mean, we never met, yeah, but they were doing stuff and we were doing stuff. But another thing was that, for example, we filmed quite a lot of concerts. One was called Giannissima, and a lot of other videos like I Maschi, Profumo, etc. And it was always a great experience to work with Gianna, and I love her. I think she is not only by far the greatest artist, the greatest artist of Italy. Yes, for me she is. We also did the official video with Gianna Nannini and Edoardo Benato, Un'estate Italiano, which was for the FIFA World Cup that happened in Italy. The official video, which was shown in every stadium, always at the beginning, at the end, and in the middle of every game. So it was like, you know. So Gianna, to me, it's a love thing, you know. And Gianna, if you see that, I just wanted to say, although we haven't spoken in a while, nothing changed. I'm your Rudy, and I love you, and you are the best. It's always good when you can laugh about it. The trivia question of this week, because I was blamed that I always do questions for Queen, this time has to do with Gianna Nannini, but it's not too difficult. She became mother, and the question is, what is the name of her first child? What is the name of Gianna Nannini's child? That's the trivia question. Send it in to the usual email address. We make strong progress because I know you're waiting for it. Of course, there is more of exclusive reading by me from my book, My Friend Freddy. I want to add that, of course, I'm playing what we've played already, but at the end, there's quite a lot of new stuff. I'm doing this because there is always new people coming in, and also it's still part of the foreword, and it has to make sense. Important. Remember, I said that everybody who pre-ordered the book or is going to pre-order will be part of an exclusive live stream reading, just limited to those people who have pre-ordered. I have made now an exception. I'm going to add 10 people who have not pre-ordered the book because maybe they don't have the money or they don't have the possibility. I'm going to talk about this next week, but to make it fair also for people who are not so easy with, paying $10 or $15 around the world, there's going to be something special, Rudy. But now, I hope you like it. There's more of my book, exclusive reading, My Friend Freddy. A foreword of sorts. I was never really a fan of Queen, and before I got to know him, certainly not of Freddie Mercury. Back in 1971, it would never have occurred to me that I would one day be allowed to work with one of the biggest bands and one of the most charismatic superstars in rock history. My band has always been the Rolling Stones, filthy, dirty, insolent, with that Keith Richards guitar sound that punches below the belt and hot wires your ears to your genitals. Freddie Mercury's reputation for hating TV interviews preceded him. So I set off with my TV crew for Munich, my palms sweating. Freddie was rumored to be a very difficult interviewee. How very differently it would turn out. We clicked off with each other from the very first moment. We were instantly simpatico, and it was the beginning of what would become a decades-long collaboration and friendship with Queen. Freddie kicked off the conversation with something like, "I've had to give bloody interviews all day. You're the last person I'm talking to, and because I'm thrilled that it's all over soon, you'll get the best interview, darling." Freddie was true to his word, delivering meaty sound bites like, "I'm just a rock and roll prostitute, my dear. And if the people ever stop buying our records, I'll become a strip artist." I dug deeper. "What music would you strip to?" Freddie's face lit up. "All the songs I've written," he said. "That's why I wrote them for." he burst out laughing, a laugh with which I would become so familiar with. Once he'd calmed down, he added, as if we had known each other forever, "You believe that? You believe anything." The ice was broken. That interview was to be the starting point for a decades-long collaboration with Queen. Not long afterwards, I, the novice Austrian filmmaker, found myself shooting my first official video with Queen for Queen Productions. Wow! It was like a dream come true. I'll talk about this first interview with Freddie in this book, which really only tells my story with Freddie. You'll not find an exhaustive biography here, no thoroughly researched, factually comprehensive history, but rather my story. The story of a long-haired hippie who moved out of Vienna's 9th district to conquer the world as a video director and musical filmmaker. With enough front, naivete and chutzpah to tell even Freddie Mercury after this first interview, "I'll send you a copy of my TV report, and if you ever need a really good music video director," Freddie nodded politely. "Call me," the long-haired hippie added. Oh my God. Rudy. But a few months later, I was in the studio with Freddie and Queen as the director of an official Queen video that would create a global furore. The chutzpah had paid off. Naivete had prevented me from considering the fact that Freddie and Queen had, up until this point, worked exclusively with top British and American directors on their videos, the crème de la crème of the likes of David Mallet, or from being in any doubt that this world-famous band had been waiting for a hippie from Vienna's Eisergrund. But somehow, the look Freddie gave me at the end of that first interview in the farmhouse parlor at the Tucher Park Hilton in Munich had signaled to me, go for the impossible. Go for the impossible. Go for the impossible, Rudy. And that's what I did. I had a very bad news a few days ago. Rob Boland, the guy who produced and co-wrote Rock Me Amadeus and many other Falco hits, who wrote me this: "Rudy, my love, you are a fucking genius and you're an asshole. Love you, Rob." He has a very, very terminal illness and makes me very sad. Think of Rob Boland tonight. A great man. Good night.